In the heart of Dixie where the eagles fly, land of the brave where the bullets don't lie. We fought for our freedom with guns by our side. Red, white, and blue, our southern pride. Raise the flag high, let freedom ring from the rolling mountains to the flatlands. We sing, no one can take our rights. Our Second Amendment will defend our land with every bullet we send. We were born in the USA, land of the free, with guns in our hands. We'll forever be Southern blood runs deep through our veins. We'll stand tall for America till the end of our days.
Well, hey there. I'm Sully, and as always, welcome back to the Gun Club. All right, we're going to have kind of a short chill stream tonight. Wanted to sort of relax, have a little fun. I've missed coming in here talking just gun control, stupid stuff, having a few laughs. And I figured, hey, we get together tonight, have a short stream, talk about a few things, because I think there's some stuff coming in on the radar. Now, if you pay attention to the way the elections went, there was a lot of big wins for the good guys and the liberty side and the freedom side and everything else. But since when do gun controllers take a break? When do they ever get to the point of saying, maybe we're off the deep end. Maybe we've gone a little too far. Maybe we need to rein our stupidity back in. They don't. They never have. So what are we going to see? What's going on? Oh, well, we're going to see some of the more crazy drama coming in. And as we always know, they're always good for it. I see we've got My Karma 1181 in the chat. Wonder who that could be. Thanksgiving is coming up, isn't it? Anyway, beyond that, I see Minnie has wandered into the chat. We've got a few others coming in. Yeah, again, pretty chill, light stream for our Monday night. We're going to, again, see some of these newly minted, newly elected politicians, because, we got a lot that went the way we wanted, but there's a few that may have gotten in who aren't too pro 2A, who don't have much of a clue about what's really going on, who don't really know what's, where or what's when or how things are supposed to pan out. Well, what are we likely to see in the next year or so as far as gun control initiatives? Well, remember, the potato brain in Washington came out with that wonderful thing about the ERPO office or the red flag office, basically a federal organization that's going to try to help states pass red flag laws. Yeah, because states couldn't do this on their own. We need a federal agency to help them do this. Now, first things first, I've already sent a lot of Twitter messages and everything else to some African-American guy named Elon, saying that I want him to take his Department of Government Efficiency and blow this office out of the water. I think that would be a good way to do it. We'll let the Doge lift its leg on the ERPO office. I can go with that. But even without that, states have done this. Currently, about 21 states, 2021, and plus the District of Columbia have some sort of red flag laws. But do they work? Well, depends on each specific state, and the laws vary widely. Simple version, some person can be a family member, spouse, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-roommate, co-worker, in some states, neighbor, healthcare provider, school teacher, employer, employee, makes the allegation that someone is too dangerous to hold a firearm or own a firearm. And again, I'm doing lots of the air quotes, scare quotes, because 20 different laws in 20 different states. But it starts out with someone who may or may not know what the hell they're talking about, says that you are too dangerous to actually own or possess firearms. Well, they make their case to either a law enforcement officer or in some cases directly to the judge. To give you an idea, in California, I was glancing at their stuff earlier. It can actually be a school teacher go to the principal and say that I don't think Susie or Johnny's parents should own firearms. And they can download a form off the internet to fill out for that teacher to send to law enforcement, and law enforcement will take it from there, go to court, and get a court order that will actually allow them to come to your house. And at that point, you must immediately turn over all firearms. In some cases in California, you can actually surrender all of your firearms to a licensed dealer for safekeeping. In other cases, the police come and basically say, give us every firearm you've got in the house, and every one that you don't give us is a felony charge. And you have no choice. You have no rebuttal. You say, well, who set this stupid thing up? Who did this? Yeah, that's okay. You can find out that in court. And then you get the wonderful chance to go beg the court for your rights back. And that's basically what it is. You have to go beg for your rights back. Now, you can beg once a year for you getting your rights back. And this is the really fun part, reading the whole law. If, let's say, you had gone today and begged for your rights back, and today is November 18th, yeah, guess what? You turn around and what happens? Well, if you lose today, you can try November 18th of next year. You can't try again in that 1 year time. You're allowed to go beg for your rights back once a year. If you want to hire an attorney, that's fine. You do it at your own cost to get your rights back. Now, this, again, these red flag laws, when they come out, it's always, oh, well, nobody wants mentally deranged people running around with guns. I agree. Nobody would want a mentally deranged person running around with a gun. Nobody wants dangerous people running around with guns. I'm fine with that, whatever. But let's see here. If nobody wants that, should we deal with the guns, or should we deal with the mentally ill or mentally deranged people? Because the laws do a great job of dealing with the guns. But, so let's say they've come out. John Smith's ex-girlfriend says, I know he really loves hunting. And so the week before deer season, she puts in a red flag order saying, I think he's kind of crazy. And I think he's liable to do something stupid because, he's one of those MAGA people. And he's got a big Confederate flag on the front bumper of his truck. Well, what happens? The judge issues the order. The police go to his house. They take away all of his firearms, and he has to go fight to try to get them back. Great. If the man is truly mentally ill, if he's mentally deranged, if he's dangerous, right as those officers are driving away with all of his firepower loaded up in the back of their car, thinking that they've made the world just a safer place, the dangerous person is sitting at home. He's pissed off. And as he walks around, there are kitchen utensils, power tools, household chemicals, flammable liquids. Goes out to the garage. He may have a can of gasoline or diesel fuel. Hell, he may even have a vehicle. I mean, a vehicle could never be used as a weapon. Waukesha Christmas Parade, not available for comment. We could never have somebody go out and make explosives or anything like that out of a crock pot. Boston Marathon, not available for comment. But we've taken away all those bad guns. This is one of the great fallacies. Red flag laws, they're going to make things safer. If somebody is mentally deranged and someone is dangerous, we shouldn't address just one possible tool they can use. Let's address on the person's side. There's already in all 50 states the ability to do an involuntary commitment for a psych eval. They can get a 72-hour weekend down at the padded cell factory. I'm all good with that. I know that we can say, well, that infringes on liberty also. But you know what? 72 hours evaluated by an objective professional, not so and so went to the judge, made their case on their own, nobody there to even challenge it. Judge signed the order, and now you lose your rights. Folks, if we did this with anything besides firearms, everyone would be up in arms. I'm going to go with you a hypothetical. Let's say that I think my ex is a shitty driver. I've actually got the documentation to prove it. She's totaled a few cars. She's run into a lot of things. Okay. So, can I go download a form, send it to a judge and say, yeah, I want you to sign this so they can go confiscate her car and her driver's license, and she's not allowed to drive until she comes and hires an attorney, goes to court, and tries to get her property back. You'd all think I was nuts. People would be up in arms. But yet, you know what? I know people who don't need to be driving. I know people who have either A, incredible road rage. I know people who are absolutely loose cannons behind the wheel. But the government showing up at their house, confiscating their car, and telling them they can't drive? No. There's a policy in place. They get so many points, they can lose their right to drive. They get so and so many DUIs, we get them a little bitty 30-mile-an-hour liquor sickle or a little, a spree scooter. Hey, it's all good. But nobody would let somebody's ex, somebody's employer, their kid's teacher say, I think so and so is too dangerous behind the wheel. And, if it saves just one life. But with firearms, somehow this is seen as okay. And I bring this up because, again, the government's going to push red flag laws. Now, we know it's likely not going to come out of the presidency, but that's not where they start anyway. That is typically where we see a lot of it coming in from the state level. Alrighty, who else has wandered in here? I see Mel has one in. Yeah, California needs to fall into the ocean. Yeah, there's actually a few people out in California that I would like to rescue, but the rest of that, they can totally have it, every last bit of it. And again, we'll do it in recess so they can have Aunt Nancy with them. Personally, I'd love to see Nasty Nancy go, but it is what it is. I see Scott has dropped in. Good evening, Mr. Scott Awesome. Always great to have you dropping by. We're having just a little bit of chat about some of the possible initiatives that the anti-gun side is going to be bringing at us in the next few months. Because we know these things don't start out of Washington. They start on the state level or on the municipal level. Let's look at the assault weapons ban. The Illinois assault weapons ban that got skunked. Well, we've got red flag laws I think are going to be a big push this year. The idiots can't win in Washington, so they'll try to win at the state level and try to take away more people's rights in more states. But yeah, dealing with red flag laws, if someone is too dangerous to own a firearm, why do we have them with kitchen knives and automobiles? And if they're not that dangerous, and if we can trust them to drive an automobile and have kitchen knives, well, maybe the firearm is not the problem. And again, to me, it's the most charitable reading of the whole thing. If somebody legitimately is that dangerous, they're a danger to themselves and others, they're made threats to do all these awful things, okay, fine. I would rather see them get addressed and get help, professional help, than say, oh, yeah, well, we took their guns away, so we did lots of good things. What happened? They set the house on fire with themselves inside it. What? They're not supposed to be we took their guns away. How can they be dangerous? Yeah. I mean, you can look up some of these people making these wonderful little cocktails in their cars that are designed to release nasty gases and take out people. I mean, mental health and, self-harm have been a problem in this country for ages. We're trying to fix it on the gun side instead of fixing the mental health side. We're not winning. There's a mess there. Okay, beyond that, what's the next thing we see? Sensitive spaces or gun-free zones. Yeah, gun-free zones. Now, fortunately, in New York State, they've had a lot of luck pushing back against some of their sensitive places laws. But even without that, honestly, gun-free zones are, I think, again, well-meaning, well-intentioned. They're trying to do something right. The only thing is they're too stupid to actually do anything right. And here's where I'm going to go. We've got different kinds of gun-free zones. We have what we call our statute-based, meaning it's written in law. Polling offices, things like that. Those gun-free zones, yeah, those are written into law, and that's something we can deal with lawmakers to change. We can also have what we call our policy-based gun-free zones. That's kind of like a workplace. Acme Industries says you can't bring guns in the plant. That's our policy. No employee is allowed to bring guns, dangerous weapons in the plant. Okay, that's great. But how about non-employees who visit the plant? Can they? Maybe. How about ex-employees who visit the plant with a problem with one of their former supervisors who got them fired? How about, let's see, employees who don't obey the rules? Maybe. A policy-based, a workplace policy is all well and wonderful. But if it's put in place by that workplace, about the only thing that can really happen is that they get fired for breaking a rule at work. You can't smoke in the bathrooms, and you can't call in 3 days in a row before a holiday, and you can't bring a gun. The worst thing that's going to happen to someone who violates some of these workplace policies is you're going to get fired. If they're already on the chopping block anyway because they don't obey the rules, these policies are kind of useless. I mean, if you're not seeing where I'm going here. Joe Smith is looking at going to his former employer where he got fired for getting in a fight on the shop floor. And what does he do? Well, he goes in and, oh, wait, he knows he can't bring a gun. What are they going to do? They might fire him again. No, he brings the gun. Because what are they going to do? Fire him? I mean, at the worst case scenario, he might get arrested. Trust me, he's planning on going in and doing bad things to a bunch of people on the shop floor, including the person who caught him sleeping and including the person who told the superintendent that he was, dealing a little green leafy stuff out the back of his car, whatever the case may be. If somebody's planning on committing a mass event, I can promise you their workplace policy manual does not enter into them about stopping it. So it's nice, and it's a nice sense of security where we have a policy that nobody's allowed to bring guns here. Or at least none of our employees are. The employees can't carry. But you know what? The strangers, we'll let them come in. Now, we look at what happened out in Las Vegas with that situation that, Mel mentions deposition. situation at a deposition for a nasty, nasty, cantankerous divorce trial. One of the attorneys who was there with a client actually had a firearm in his briefcase and shot a couple of people right in the middle of the little conference room where they're doing the deposition. Yeah, I believe he shot opposing counsel and one of their witnesses and then turned the gun on himself. No. Okay. Now, they can have a written agency or departmental or organizational policy about gun-free zones, but if it's not actually enforced or checked or done or, what are we doing? Again, I bring this up because we hear talk about, oh, we need sensitive places and gun-free zones. Now, let's say I'm going to a hockey game of a night, or I'm going to go, oh, I don't know, fly out to Houston to see some big star of the nose out there. I think, Scott, you probably know who I'm going. If I'm doing that, or I'm out flying to, flying to Austin for the EMS convention, guess what? I don't worry too much about being able to protect myself because I know everybody past TSA has kind of been screened. How well, we can get into that debate. But at least it's pretty much an actual gun-free zone on the aircraft. Pretty much a gun-free zone on the sterile side, on the aircraft side of the screening area. Now, is TSA perfect? No. Was any screening area perfect? No. No. One of the places I've worked in my career, we were basically in a secure facility. And when I say secure facility, it was access code and a thumbprint to enter the door. I didn't worry too much about anything going down in there. It was primarily our coworkers. If somebody did get terminated, they were walked out and their access was turned off by the time they were getting out the door. So I can promise you at that building, you were not coming in with a firearm. Now, could you wait on us in the parking lot? Possibly. But then again, there were armed personnel in the parking lot. There were cameras in the parking lot. And I can promise you, if somebody had seen someone out snooping around the parking lot, two men in uniform with very good training would be out addressing it. It wouldn't be Uncle Wilbur, who's working his part-time job supplementing his Social Security for $11.98 an hour, going out there saying, hey, what you doing out in my parking lot, boys? No. The people who secured that parking lot, yeah. But the thing was, the parking lot was access controlled at the gate by armed personnel. So we didn't worry about, what we could and couldn't carry there because pretty chill. We were in a very, very safe little cocoon. On the other side of that coin, if you're up at, XYZ accountant's office at 1301 Main Street on the third floor, look at when you walk in, maybe there's a security presence, maybe there's not. All depends if he's making his rounds, dropping a deuce, reading the daily news, whatever the case may be. And I'm not making fun of these guys. I'm actually stating that if you've got one, $11 an hour unarmed wonder there and say, oh, we've got security downstairs, what are they securing? What is their plan for an active shooter? Duck behind the desk? Again, gun-free zones? It's not gun-free. It's suggested. It's recommended. We'd really rather you don't bring them all in here. But truth be told, if you walk in off the street and you have a gun, nobody here can stop you because you know what? It's a gun-free zone. Y'all seeing the logic here. So again, gun-free zones, when they try to do this, I loved the one in New York, gun-free zones in state parks. Yeah, because who would ever want to be carrying when you're out jogging or walking through the woods where there's not a lot of people around? What better place to jump people? Oh, well, you're paranoid. That would never happen. Lake and Riley unavailable for comment. What do we deal with? Yeah, we're dealing with all this stuff. And, you know, again, gun free zones. How are we keeping it gun free? Is it really gun free? Or is it just gun free, a suggestion in a corporate policy manual right behind the tardy policy? Because, yeah, it makes about as much sense. If we're going to have gun free places, okay, great. Signage, armed personnel possibly doing the security, screening. I mean, I promise you, that attorney who brought the handgun in his briefcase, he didn't go through any kind of screening. Now, again, we can get in the civil liberties side, but if we're going to declare it, it's a gun free zone, we need to do something besides just post it up on the wall and hope for the best. I mean, there's a reason why even like the Waffle House has locks on the door. Why? Because they want to be able to lock the door. Yeah. If you could just put up a sign, I have an idea. We'll just put up crime free zone and everyone will stop stealing. Works well with gun free zones. What's another great fallacy we hear? Oh, it's the assault weapons, assault rifles. Typically, year to year, we see 4, maybe 500 total rifle deaths in the country. And so if we look at, again, general numbers, I'm not going exact, but roughly 40,000 firearm deaths. Good chunk of those are self-deletions. So then we come into, besides self-deletions, accidents like hunting accidents. I was cleaning it and I thought it was unloaded and it went off, whatever. Actual murders, you're in about the 11 to 12,000 firearm murder range. Okay. 11 or 12,000, and they're dealing with something that makes up less than 500 of it. But we hear assault weapons bans, AR-15s and AK-47s and big scary blah, blah, blah. Do you know what we're seeing more and more of now, quite honestly, and especially in some of the inner city metro areas? These freaking Glock switches are proliferating all over the place. As actually recently, an episode down in Alabama, I want to say it was Tuckasegee College at their homecoming, multiple people with Glock switches. And now the Alabama legislature is looking at making a law about that. They're already federally illegal. Alabama just didn't have a law. Hey, ATF, if you want to do something useful, or DOJ, you want to look at doing something useful, tell all the states that don't already have a Glock switch law. If they're dealing with the Glock switch problem, y'all will come in, transfer it to a federal case, and prosecute them under the National Firearms Act. And they don't even need to do that. And then they'll get real time, like in a federal pen. Imagine that. The Glock switches, yeah, we're seeing them dealt with a lot. But beyond that, no. So they can go after all the AR-15s like they just tried and failed woefully in Illinois. But you know what? It is what it is, because we're not seeing anything that makes sense. Let's see, what do we got here? That's okay. Scott, the fact that you're late and gay sometimes, we're always totally fine with it. Not a problem. We love you here. Yeah, like Mel said, the nose pope. Yep, went down to see the nose pope down in Houston. But again, I wasn't really worried in the airport on the airplanes going to and from Houston because really, I figured, everyone's pretty well screened. On the other side of that coin, once I got off the plane in Houston, I was in a hurry to go get to my checked baggage, if you get my drift, because I may or may not have had something with me. And then, of course, going over to the convention center, case in point, oh, there's a sign on the door, but there's no one there enforcing it. So, yeah, that's why you get good practice working concealed. Yeah. You know what? It'd be fun to play with if they were legal. I'll say that. I am not willing to wish spending 5 to 10 years of my life in federal pound them in the ass prison for a glizzy switch. No. And besides, I've played with automatic weapons before legally. Automatics are typically kind of difficult to control, especially because it's cycling, it's moving, you're wrestling it. Trying to do that with something as lightweight a frame as a Glock with very limited real estate on it, dude. I fired a Thompson. I know what they are. They will run you ragged. I don't know if a Glock. It again. I think it would be fun. It would be a novelty, but spray and pray whether they hit anything or not. Like I said, fun toy to play with. About as useful as firecrackers. Yeah, it makes a lot of noise and lots of lights and sound. It makes a lot of smoke, but really accomplished not too much. So yeah, what other fallacies? What have y'all heard? Have I missed any of the big ones? Because those are the big ones that I keep seeing popping up on the radar about. Oh, well, we're gonna fix this firearm stuff, and I'm like, no, how? You keep swearing you're gonna fix it. It doesn't fix anything. You know, they make the rules that basically, well, they keep the honest people honest. That's about all they do. Any good ones we see coming in? Alrighty, don't see anything. We'll talk a little bit on the next one, and this was interesting. A few of our good guys and gals with guns segments, because as we know, there are actually far more, and this is something that we definitely need to preach hard, far more, shall we say, defensive gun uses that are legit and legal and decent and normal than there are bad uses of guns. The one year the CDC did a study on it, and it was actually back under Barack Obama. And, he wanted to do a study. And they came out with this between 500,000 and 3 million defensive firearms uses each year. So, yeah. And remember, we said about 10 to 12,000 firearm homicides, 500,000 to 3 million defensive uses. Honestly, we should get everyone to carry a gun, teach them, train them, and arm them. If it saves just one life, it'll be worth it. Yeah, your anti-gun friends always hate me. I know that, but that's okay. This one comes out of Urbana, Illinois. A man's in the ICU after being shot in a road rage incident Saturday afternoon. Called to the intersection of such and such where they learned an incident took place. According to the police, a vehicle driven by a female with a male passenger engaged in a verbal altercation at an intersection with a male by himself. After the solo driver drove just past the other car, they followed him. The man drove into the hospital emergency department, then got onto Park to create distance. It ended on Park, where both people, the double occupied vehicle, got out. The woman armed with a baseball bat. The solo driver indicated the male passenger had his hand under his shirt, believed he was reaching for a weapon. The single male passenger, concealed carry permit holder, drew his legal firearm, fired several rounds, striking the male. Okay. Now, I don't know how the whole road rage started. There's a story here. But if someone chases you and corners you, gets out, and you're in a 2-on-1, and the female, don't have her name here. We'll call her Twatzilla. Twatzilla has and she's got the old Louisville Slugger, and we'll call the male on the other side Ray Ray. Ray Ray gets out. He's got his hand under his shirt like he's reaching for something. Yeah, they got that shot. Well, at least Ray Ray did. Folks, what's the choices on there? And that's the bad part. What's the choices? This man ran. He didn't want to get into it, but guess what? At some point, he had a choice. He can't run anymore, and he was able to defend himself. And we've got let's see. How about DeSoto, Texas? Why do these idiots do this stuff in Texas? Have they not heard what Texas is? Yeah. DeSoto, Texas, November 8th. A woman fatally shot an armed assailant who followed her home from a Taco Bell. He might have been making a run for her border. Who knows? Maybe he just wanted her to drop the chalupa, baby. I don't know. But this woman fatally shots the armed assailant who follows her home and tried to force his way into her house through the garage. Okay. You're forcing your way into someone else's house in Texas. Isn't that under the needed shooting defense? That idiot needed shooting? And again, is armed intruder. He went to her home. He brought the fight to her. Neighbors reported hearing several shots. When police arrived, they found a man with gunshot wounds inside the garage, and there was a pistol lying next to him. The woman told the police a truck followed her home from a nearby Taco Bell. Neighbors are concerned, saying it could have happened to any of them. Yeah, any of them can be followed home. We've seen 2 or 3 that have been followed home from different places. I just heard gunshot go off first, then followed by 2 more. Surveillance video shows the family flicking on their back porch lights. That's when DeSoto police say a woman shot a man who was trying to break into her home. The man was later identified as 35-year-old Octavio Flores from Dragon. There was a lot of confusion going on, the neighbor said. Shortly after that, the police showed up. Well, good. Someone to sort out the confusion. Bad guy's the one over there with the holes in them. Surveillance video shows a caravan of police cars responding. She could hear a woman screaming as he tried to force his way into her home through the garage door. The video then shows officers holding guns running to the back alley where they find him shot and a loaded pistol lying next to him. Okay. The woman told police the truck followed her home, pulled in the driveway, and an armed man attempted to get in her home. Woman called 911, grabbed her handgun, and shot him. He was taken to a local hospital and is now being charged with burglary. He remains in critical condition. Okay. Folks, driving home from Taco Bell. Is there a more innocuous, average, everyday thing to do, driving home from the local fast food restaurant? No, I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to save her plumbing from what that, Crapo Bell was going to do to it. Maybe he was, some kind of toilet rights activist that he just didn't want to watch her drop that bomb, but chases her home to her house, tries to break in. See a pattern here? Alrighty. Last thing I want to talk about was an incident that recently occurred up very near where I used to live. For those of you all don't know, I used to live just outside New York City in a nice little place called Nassau County. Now, Nassau County was, again, we bordered the city. As you move east, the last county that makes up the city is Queens. You go over the border of Queens into Nassau, where I lived. I grew up about 10 minutes from the city line. Okay. This was out in Nassau, further out than where I lived. 6 people break in to the roof of a floral shop and actually get down into the floral shop. They then use that area as a staging point to break into the jewelry store next door, which they do successfully. After gaining entry to the jewelry store, they attempt to open up the vault, and that trips an alarm finally. Now, these individuals, pretty, planned out, pretty well thought out. Would you believe that all 6 of them eventually get arrested? Yay! They tripped the alarm. Nobody, they got away, but subsequently they're picked up. All charged with burglary, various other things. They had jamming systems that jam cell phones and radio communications. Again, a very, very well put together criminal enterprise in my book. Would you believe that 5 out of the 6 are here illegally from Ecuador? The 6th is here illegally from Venezuela. Now, the good news is one of them had multiple outstanding warrants out of Pennsylvania as well, so he got held. The other 5, under New York State's Governor Kathy Hochul, same day, no cash bond released. Felony burglary charges, plus all the other stuff, plus here illegally, plus possibly as alerts under the Homeland Security, released into our country, up in New York, committing crime. And out of 6 who get caught, 1 is held on outstanding warrants from the other state. 5 of them, same day bail release, at which time they're told they have to go to this agency over there and get ankle monitor, GPS monitors put on. Well, out of the 5 who got there and walked out the door, 3 of them actually went over and did that. Got their ankle monitors put on. The other 2 basically gave old lady Justice the single finger victory salute and went on about their life. Well, this must have upset the 3 who actually did what the judge ordered them to do. Again, this wasn't like a request. They're arrested on a felony charge. They're told, we let you out on bond, but you have to go here and get this. 2 of them ain't been in our country long enough to even give the judge the finger and ignored him. The other 3 got their ankle monitors put on. Within a week later, the ankle monitors were all coming up with alerts that they were cut off. The ankle monitors were found in Jersey. So, 6 arrested, 5 escaped. Well, for all intents and purposes. No ankle monitor, no bail money, no nothing. Out of the state, they in the wind. But that's okay. Coming soon to a city near you. This is the joy of bail reform. All you got to do is commit your felonies. Tell the judge, I'm poor, I can't afford bail. The judge says, okay, fine, no cash bond. Wouldn't want to discriminate against the poor. Let them right back out the door. Now, the people up there are raising absolute hell about it. I've heard about it all the way down here. This, again, was in my old hometown, so it's still personal. But beyond that, again, criminal justice reform. New York State is leading the way with this no cash bail. Felony a day keeps the judge away. And had that one not had that outstanding series of warrants out of PA, he'd probably been out on the street too. So why do we see these criminals? I hate to break it to them, but until they do something about it, we have a problem here. We really do. Let's see, we have here another one out of Maryland. And this one was real interesting. A motorcyclist with a valid concealed carry permit, shot a driver who erratically tailgated him, then tried to run him off the road, then attacked him with a hammer. Attacked him with a hammer? Is Paul Pelosi's boyfriend out on bail? Damn. But yeah, 51-year-old man armed with a hammer was shot and killed by a motorcyclist, according to Anne Arundel, Maryland investigators. They were called to East Furnace Road for a report of a shooting. Yeah. Now, I don't know why the 51-year-old decided he wanted to chase down some motorcyclist, try to hit him, and swing a hammer at him. Seems like some kind of antisocial behavior. But he got shot, so that's done. We have to come back to the same old discussion. I don't know the 51-year-old. If he was that out of control that he did this, if he had mental health issues, I would have rather fixed him than have him, 6 feet under. But, this man's running around driving a vehicle with a hammer, chasing a motorcyclist down and then swinging it at him. Not too bright. All righty. That's all I've got for tonight. Like I said, it was going to be a short stream. We've had quite the week. We've had quite a lot of insanity. I know that. I've been running pretty busy. I'm planning on, if I can, I want to cover with some of the appointments over there, more in the political world. Definitely something that might be a little bit more fun to deal with. But beyond that, folks, hope you have a wonderful night. Be smart, be safe, and hope everything works out. Bye.
In shadows we stand tall, heartbeats echo through the hall. Eyes searching for what's real, truth is all we wanna feel.